Hey everybody, welcome to No Breakaways, your source for all your Zwift and indoor racing tips and tricks. We have been absent a little while, but Jordan and I have our favorite person in the whole world back, Jackie Godby of Saris No Pins and Noon. Jackie, how's it going?
It's going great. How are you?
Hey, wonderful, wonderful. We missed you. Of course, my thing is I have this new background. We're moving houses, so all the junk from the kids' room came in here. As much as I want to say this is my giraffe.
Yeah, I
Same
love your
here.
graph.
I now have a dedicated office space. We just finished the move from Riverside, California to St. Louis.
Ooh.
So I am now no longer broadcasting from some remote corner of my living room. I have a dedicated office and a desk. I'm very excited.
Love it. And of course, we have, as always, Jordan Chain, Echelon Race Project Echelon Racing, or just Echelon
That's
Racing.
right.
Okay,
That's
Project
right.
Echelon Racing, peak form coaching, twin. We unplanned facial hair guy with me here.
Yeah, I don't know. This is a day and a half growth. All of a sudden I decided to be a man and like now I actually grow facial hair. It's happened in the last like 6 months. It's like a mutation.
That's called puberty, Jordan.
Oh wow. Well, it took a while. It took a while. I could like race masters now and I just passed that. I should get better on the bike, I guess.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you'll gain a bunch of weight. You'll gain a bunch of weight.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah. All these new feelings.
Yeah. All right. We've officially jumped over the awkward portion of the show, so now we can continue on with our regularly scheduled agenda. Okay, so let's first. We have not been on the air for like 5 or 6 months or something. A long time, way too long for all of us. I want to give an explanation. It's been my fault, to be clear. Just tons of life stuff going on. I mentioned we're like moving to North Carolina. You know, I live in Northern Illinois. We're moving probably to North Carolina here in the next month. Knock on wood. We just had a showing for the house. And work's been crazy and it's just been wild. So Jordan and Jackie are like, "Hey, when are we going on air?" And I'm like, "Oh, next week." My answer's been next week for many weeks in a row, and this is finally next week. So I apologize to all our viewers, but our people who listen to the podcast. We appreciate you. We're sorry. Hopefully, we're going to be putting out some more content and talking about a number of things, potential things coming on. One of which I actually got to go on the Know or Fast pod, which was super fun. And I want to ask you two how you're doing, but I'm just gonna keep going since I have the floor. That's what a good host does. They fill up all the space talking.
Yeah. Monopolize it. Yeah.
Yeah. So this December, I want to set something up. Maybe Saras would want to do it with us. We're trying to get Velocio to do it too. I need to talk to Kevin more. This December, the 31 days of hell. Every day you race in December, and I want to have like a website set up for it on Zwift or RGT. I don't doesn't matter, but you set up a website. So I have this. So last December I raced 31 times. Last December, and it was great. I actually really enjoyed it. Uh, Believe it or not.
I think we're gonna need some better branding than the 31 days of hell during the holiday season.
That's what kind of I wrote after my kids opened their Christmas presents. I'm like, listen, kids, I'm gonna go race my bike on Swift.
Yes.
I mean, I'm all for the Christmas season, training camp, commitment week. Like that goes all the way back to like I don't know when I was 10 on swim team, and you took that
Yeah.
break excuse to get training. But oh boy, a month.
31
Yeah,
days.
I'm definitely not doing it right.
31 days of racing. And I'm proposing both me and Kevin and anyone else who wants to, we live stream. I did live stream every single race on my personal channel, which has like 15 subscribers, because I did not want to put it here. No one wants to see me like pedaling away at 3.2 watts per kilogram sitting in a pack for 40 minutes. But yeah, it's I'm proposing that, and then I want to do the last race. I want it on the 31st. I'm hoping I can get Zwift to set something up, a big like a Queen stage type thing on the last day, obviously, because it's the worst. And then like we stream it on No Breakaways, me and Kevin, and you two, since you'll do it too. because you guys definitely don't have lives or professional riding careers. Um, yeah, and so that's the plan in December.
Well, there you go. A scant 5 months to get your S together there, Rick.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. No, well, that's the nice thing about Zwift is I don't have to have anything together. I just used it last time to try to get in shape.
yeah, are you going to train? Are you going to train before the month of December this time?
Listen, you don't have to be a jerk about it, but that's
I
the
think
plan.
didn't you go into that with like no training really?
Yeah. It was. Yeah, I committed to it on air on the 2nd of December because me, you, and Kevin were on.
Yes.
And when Jackie's not around, I say dumb stuff, and so yeah, I committed to it because I had done 2 races that day because I didn't race the day before, and I did the double race. So
Well,
yeah. Anyways,
I will be a vocal supporter of you in that effort,
thank you.
and that'll be it.
So is there like a minimum length to these races? Like,
No.
if you do like a, let's say a track style race of 400 meters, does
That's
that
fine.
count?
Yes.
Or-
It has to exist, but
No,
yeah.
it's RGT is track, don't they?
Oh, there you go.
No, so I did one race that was 5 minutes.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, it was.
Are we going to do? Are we going to do like PRL full on the 31st or something ridiculous like that?
I want to do something big. I have another thing planned too. This one I should not say, but I'm going to anyway. So what I want to do, I'm in level 48. I'm about to take over to level 48 in Zwift. And I've had this plan for months, but I am slow, and so it takes me forever to get through the levels. I want to see how fast I can go from level 49 to level 50. And I've saved all the big routes because I want to use those to get the route batches, get all the points. Also, I've saved the big routes because I don't like riding a long time.
I was going to say you saved them.
Yeah, that's correct. The big quotes, I saved them. But that's my plan and then I want to write a blog every day on Zwift Insider. I got to beg Eric to let me do it. Write a blog every single day on a normal human's track from 49 to 50 because I'm not going to be able to ride for 4 hours every day. I have a family and work and stuff, but it's just an excuse for me to make bad jokes. So a lot of dumb stuff planned.
I do have to ask because when I was making the trek up through the levels to get the equipment to race, I was actually under the impression that the points for getting new routes were nice. But if you really just after points, it was best to just go up and down Alp.
No.
Get that nice bonus at the top.
So
workouts a bonus too, or pace partners. That's different.
So there are many ways you can do it. So in workouts, I think you can get extra experience points. I don't know about this is like ultra exposing me. I don't really know what happens at the top of the Alp. I've been there like twice because I'm like, no, it's a hard no for me.
You Tron bike?
I have the Tron. Yes, so I would ride for an hour and I get halfway up the Alp and then quit. There are times I've gotten to the last turn of the Alp and my time got up and I just quit because I didn't care. This is like an insight into my soul,
into your work ethic.
So there's a reason I was not better at running in college. And that's
Rick, like you're an experienced gambler. What's the over/under amount of days it'll take you to do this?
I have no idea. That's what's kind of fun about it because I actually haven't planned it out. I've just not done those routes because they're too long and I don't want to do it. In theory, you could get it done in like just a couple days. Because I think just to complete the PRL full, is that what it is? The one in London where you go up 8 times? Just to complete that, you get something like 6,500 experience points, which gets you over a quarter of the way there. And so,
points you get for the distance.
I think that's cumulative. So you get like 3,000 points for the distance, 3,500 for completing. I think that's it. I could be wrong.
Now here's the real question. Are you going to do the metric points
Oh yeah.
and getting sore.
Oh yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, no,
I'm
I just no, I'm not. There's no way I'm gonna make it hard for myself in the sense that if I can't start from the top of a hill and just coast downhill and keep doing that over and over again, like restart at the top of the hill, that is cheating. So to get the points going down the hill, I have to go up the hill. So if I want points going down the Alp, I gotta go up the Alp, which I do not want to do. But yeah, so I have some vague set of rules in my head, and some way I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna have to plan it out as I get closer. It takes me forever to go through levels, anyways. So, but my plan, I want to get the ODZ Sunday route to do the PRL full on like my last day.
Yeah, it'd be pretty good to have a group for that one, man.
Well, it's going to be all group rides because group rides you get tons of experience points because you're going faster. If the Tour of Watopia is happening at that time, that is not allowed to get to double experience points. Expressly not allowed.
Oh wow!
In the rules. In the rules.
This man has principles. All right. Well, we'll be waiting for that.
Yeah.
That'll make some good content.
Yeah.
It'll be.
I feel like doing PRL full is actually a really good like ramp into New Year's Day, that whole sort of resolution thing.
I would love to dovetail it with the 31 days of hell. I would like to, and I'm not going to do this, but I would like to go from 49 to 50 just racing. That would be really cool. The worst, but really cool.
Yeah. Jeez. Wow. Somebody's got big plans. I wish I had such big ambitions on Zwift.
Okay, I meant by now we're 11 minutes into the show. We should have spent 11 minutes talking about you all. No one actually cares about the B 41-year-old. Look, actually, I'm a C rider right now because I'm way out of shape. And you two are like actually could be professionals, Jackie, if you wanted to be. Jordan, you are literal professionals. So feel probably more interested in y'all. Let's start, Jackie. So what have you been up to? Personal, professional, whatever you want to tell us.
Yeah, so since I talked to you guys in November, I think, I finished the ERL series on RGT. I managed to take the win for the series as well in the Series Cup, and competed in US Nationals as well on RGT. That was a fun revisit, actually, to the Iron Horse course that we'd raced in RGT. Brutal 2.5 hour race, and took a national title.
Yeah.
No, I'm still riding that high. Get to say that I am a national champion of anything is really cool. Also got to do Zwift Worlds again on the New York course, and managed a top 10 finish, despite the fact that I was the second heaviest rider in the field. So, that 15% grade is not kind when you're coming in over 70 kilos. But, I stayed with the pack until that final breakaway. So I, again, really, really happy with that. And that was February. And that was really the end of my competitive season. I then had to actually go back and do my real job. It was my intern year. So I went back to the hospital, spent time being a physician, internal medicine, the emergency room, and just moved to St. Louis, where tomorrow is my first day as a radiology resident at Washington, St. Louis.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
So I am going to walk into a reading room and going to start learning to be a Queen of Darkness. Very, very exciting. Yeah.
Jeez.
I tell you what, I probably should have led asking Jackie about what she was up to instead of regaling everyone with these stupid plans I have.
No, that's impressive. I mean, I was like, had a really great winter and then dropped off the map and like had to work.
That's awesome, though. Congratulations. Man, national champion. So what, did you get something for being a national champion?
A big ego boost. And then I actually do have the right to get the national jersey made. I just put that on hold until after the move. So
They should have given you a jersey. I'm gonna get on the phone with Eric. This is cheap crap. We need to. Everybody gets a. You win a national championship, you get a jersey. Gee.
So I do actually want to get that made. And hopefully once the move settles in here, I will, reach out, get that done, because
That'd be cool.
really, I'm happy with it. They can't take that away. So
I feel
you
like
can even if you don't win it again, you can have the bands forever.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You should definitely get one in game too. I'm surprised. In game for sure.
In game there is. In game.
Oh, you have one in game. Okay.
I just also haven't been on RGT racing for a while because it's been, primarily training. Really have not had the time to race just because, I prioritized my schedule to give me that winter racing block to be able to do these virtual races and really commit to virtual cycling as a sport. So it sort of came back on the end of like, oh yeah, I have to work. I can't take any more time off.
And you've been writing articles for the Zomestique, yeah?
Yes, also that.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was when I was doing a lot of night work, which, when you're off, you're still attuned to night, so you're up at 2 a.m. and you can't do anything because it's like, if I vacuum, I'm going to wake John up. All the grocery stores are closed. Nobody's up. I'm just here, and it's 2 a.m., so my brain's working at like 75% capacity. But I did have a lot of fun writing those articles. The last one actually was after Worlds, in response to some of the critiques about the focus of Zwift on weigh-ins and body composition, particularly among women. And I thought it was interesting. I actually came up, did my own analysis, and showed the distribution of BMI versus relative place among the fields, using data that was all publicly available from Zwift Power. And what was really interesting was that there was actually a discrepancy in the trends between the men's and women's fields. So for the women's fields, there was actually a linear correlation between BMI and performance. And so women who had a lower BMI tended to place higher. And actually, whereas for men, there was no correlation, and I also looked at the average BMI of the racers, and how many racers in each category for both women and men fell below that sort of 18.5 category that the World Health Organization uses to categorize as underweight. And for women, we're looking at 30% of our professional riders fall underneath that, whereas for men, it was closer to 5 to 10%. And admittedly, these are lightweights. We're all, sort of dehydrating ourselves to get under there. So you can argue whether or not that BMI of 18.5 is true or not. But, it was very interesting to say on this course, on this day, being lighter helped the women, but maybe not necessarily the men. Yeah. And then just from my own standpoint as the second heaviest rider, with one of the heaviest BMIs on the field saying, hey, we do see this correlation, but it's not the end all be all. And what does that mean in terms of racing? As a 71 kilo rider, what do I focus on to still get that top 10 finish?
It could be a different causation too. Like maybe the more dedicated riders tend to keep themselves skinnier on average, and then they're just at the front, whereas it's not the actual BMI that is making their performance. It could actually be a negative. And I've seen on the road, it seems much more mixed female riders. Like we just had the nationals, and it was a pretty flat course, but definitely the more powerful riders in the women's were doing quite well. Whereas on Zwift, I think that they would be huge outliers. But yeah, maybe on Zwift, the more serious about it you are, maybe as a female, especially, the lighter you tend to keep yourself as part of that.
So I think it also ties in very well with Zwift physics, because Zwift, unlike RGT, doesn't have the enforced braking around corners. So breakaways really only happen on hills, and for the women's field, we tended to see a lot fewer breakaways on the flats. At Worlds, we didn't have, sort of the higher intensity, the higher turnover on the flat parts of the course that the men's field saw.
Yeah.
So I think it was sort of, I want to say we saw the climbers animating the race.
Sure.
And those climbers are going to be the lighter riders. Whereas if it was a flatter course, if we saw more breakaway points on turns, it might change.
Yeah. Whereas on RGT, I don't know if they've updated the physics, but when I raced on it in January, February, whatever that was, I'm sure it was a negative correlation between like low BMI and performance, because like the big units do super well, at least in the men.
Jordan, you got second every race.
Yeah, but doing a whole watt per kilo better.
Well,
Kevin told you that.
I know.
I filed a complaint with the higher ups because I was already on the phone with them. So, but yeah, no, I just, it's fine. That's a discipline of e-racing at the moment. I don't know whether they've refined it at all, but I'm sure. Yeah, horses for courses. And if we get a flat worlds ever, which would be interesting, I'm sure that trend would change.
Jackie for the win.
Oh yeah. I think it would be very boring to watch throughout, but the last like 3 minutes would be great. Like it would just be
so many. That would be fascinating just to see all of the different names up there, because all of a sudden you would see the pure sprinters out at the front who normally get dropped so early. Mm-hmm. Like I would love to see that race. Almost harkening back to the downhill finish that we saw several Zwift seasons ago, where it was like, this is totally different than what we've seen before, and we saw a lot of new names.
But you still won?
Yeah.
No, I didn't. I got
the names under her on the results were different.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, that's super cool. And yeah, I think, is Christopher, I don't know how to say his last name. I'm going to mess it up. You know how, Jackie? Franker, yeah. He was riding across country. Is he still riding across country? Do you know?
He's day 15, I believe.
Okay. Yeah, he's got to be close to us somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, so shout out to him.
That's another discipline of cycling I cannot ever. Riding with little sleep and just day after day. Oh God!
I want to do the race across America sometime.
With a team, maybe.
Yeah, we would make if we get one more person, we'd make a really good team. As long as you guys could all just completely prop me up.
Yeah,
you'd be like, Rick, you could. I'm really tired, but you just sit. I'll keep going.
No. Sure. Your words, not mine.
Yeah. So, okay, Jordan, you have also, I know, again, I feel really dumb for saying my dumb plans at the start of this. Jordan, you have also been up to awesome stuff. I know this because I've texted you about it very recently. Let's hear it, my man.
Well, it started with less awesome stuff. I think we had our last podcast maybe in February sometime, the last show. And shortly thereafter, I had a couple horror crashes in a row. We won our first stage race of the season. They're both Arizona races, sort of flatter races. So not for me to win, but our team, we went like 1, 2, 3 in both of them. It was pretty great. But the last 2 kilometers of the second one, which is in Tucson, so hometown race, I finished the lead out part for myself. I pulled off and coming back through the pack, and somebody in like 97th place decided they needed to cut in real hard and took out my bar. As I was coming back carefully, he kind of just and I hit the ground at 56k an hour, like tore off my entire leg on the one side, and it just road rash ended up being, but it was the worst road rash of my life, and I actually had to go emerge because like my heart rate was 140. I was trying to like go home and sit on the couch and have a beer, but I couldn't, and I had to go for something stronger. So yeah, that was terrible, and like I was sort of putting the pieces back together to go to team camp like a week and a bit later, and I went to team camp and I was on another bike, a spare bike, because mine had been broken, and the brakes were reversed on that spare bike. So front is rear, rear is front, and on a technical descent, I just grabbed them as you would normally, but the bike just left, and I ended up hitting a guardrail and broke my arm. So I don't know if you can see that good one. Yeah. So there's a plate in there. And so that was about a month exactly before Redlands that I had the surgery, obviously, and the accident. And so I just got myself on the trainer and like trained my ass off. And it was still technically broken at Redlands. But I got there and helped the team and sort of like road captain. I wasn't good enough to win it myself at that point, obviously. But we won Redlands. Tyler Stites, yeah. So it was just, I mean, it was completely miserable for me physically. But like I made it there, which was the goal after all of that. And then we won 3 stages and a jersey at Gila as well, which was the following week. And I just about died doing it. Like, it's such a weird feeling being out of shape for these races because, like, I've always been in shape I don't go to races if I'm not in shape.
Welcome, Jordan. Welcome to my world. Let me know if you need some tips. You should have called me.
And with a still broken arm, and like my leg was going numb halfway through the Gila, and it was like, oh crap, do I have like iliac artery fibrosis or something? And an ortho looked at it and he said, no, there was like a 2-inch laceration into your calf muscle. Do you remember that part? And he's like, yeah, that probably just hasn't healed very well yet because it's been like a month or 5 weeks. And so that was a relief, but it also like underlined how crappy my body was during all that. So it all was an experience. And then finally I started to get good again, like about 8 weeks later, and I did Joe Martin, which is probably what you texted about, I think. And I just about won the time trial there. I was only 3 seconds behind. The other guys went in the dry. I had to ride in the rain, so I'm not no excuses, but
but you would have won. But you would have won. You don't have to say it. You don't have to say
it. If I had the legs, I would have won, obviously. If I'd just been a little faster on the bike, obviously I would have won. So
just blame your helmet, be like you didn't have the best aero helmet, or
oh yeah, well, it's an uphill time trial. My bike was a little heavier than I wanted it to be, so I probably ate too much in the weeks preceding. Yeah, anyway, it was good though. Like Joe Martin, of all those races, Redlands and Gila are better for me personally to try to win the thing. Like I've come close in Redlands before, but Joe Martin not really. But it was good to like finally get back there and be close. So yeah, and then came home to Canada after that because Tucson was unbelievably hot, like 115, like just day after day. Maybe not quite, but like at least the bottom temperature you ever see like on the 2-week forecast in May is like 104, and you're just like, oh, that'll be less terrible. And it just starts at like 8 a.m. It's like already 90 something. So I don't know if I could have survived it, but the dog definitely couldn't have survived it. Like he can't go outside at all, which isn't a problem. So anyway, came back to Canada. We're renting back. Basically, it's just another unit in the condo building where we sold in the fall. So basically in the same house for less than our mortgage was, which is a good little hack, I guess. And I did nationals, Canadian nationals last week. Came 4th in the time trial again.
That's a good result, though.
I've been 4th through 6th in the time trial in the last 8 attempts.
Dude, that's really good, though.
I know, but I just really want to be on that podium. And typical, like you guys have never been up this way, but Alberta has terrible weather. And it was like in the summer, it'll just like turn black, the sky, and the temperature will drop. It was 45 Celsius and absolutely pelting rain during that time. 45 Fahrenheit, rather.
Oh, I was like,
And
Celsius?
no, 45. I
That's
get mixed
hot,
up.
man.
I'm still transitioning between systems, but all the Canadians make fun of me for using Fahrenheit.
No, you gotta talk American, man. Talk American, okay?
All right, yeah, these colors don't run. I'm American. All right. Yeah.
Kilometers, but temps in Fahrenheit. Like
Yeah, exactly. See, that's the thing with these guys too. Is it's always kilometers for the races, even in the U.S.
Yeah.
But and kilograms for watts per kilo, but not then not Fahrenheit or not Celsius. Anyway, it was horrible. Like just the worst weather of life. It hailed during the road race. It was just like unbelievable. Yeah, and Edmonton's not really a place you need to visit in case you were thinking about it. Just in general, not great cycling, not great weather. The people are lovely.
Go see the Oilers. Go see the Oilers.
Yeah, that would be actually a good night out in Edmonton. Is the hockey is crazy there, man. Like there's like a palace, it's just it's a huge deal. But they already lost, so just like the Leafs, they already lost before that. So
yeah.
Anyway, yeah, that's been the year. It's been crazy. Like I don't know. It's you think, oh yeah, everything will be normal again because you're back racing and everything's going again, but then that stuff happens and it's just totally abnormal, totally new. So, but we made it through. My wife was an absolute star. She flew down to North Carolina to pick me up when I broke my arm. Like she got in like 10 hours after I hit the guardrail. It was pretty impressive, actually. So that was a big, because I don't know if I would have made it back. I probably just would have been popped up on painkillers and drunk in the hotel for the rest of the week. It was pretty mentally crushing at the time. But
yeah. It sounds like you made it back. You're doing well, man. Glad to hear those good results.
Headed to Europe at the end of July for a race or two, so that'll be fun. And then after that, the calendar, there was still some cancellations for the latter part of the calendar. So I'm actually making a move into gravel now.
Are you?
So we're trying to procure the bike, which is like a difficulty. The team sponsor Aragon 18 does not have any left at this point in the season. So we're going a private route with it. And yeah, I don't know the first thing about the equipment. I know about the effort and the riding, but so it'll be a project, but I just want to race more. And like that type of racing is actually perfect for me because it's just hard, like consistently hard for hours and hours, which is, my kind of engine. So,
all right. Jackie, do you have something good to say? Otherwise, I'm going to make a dumb comment.
Go ahead, Rick.
Please tell me more about gravel racing, because now that I am near Kansas and in St. Louis, I also want to get a bike.
You're going to wait.
Moving.
Do we want to all commit to doing Unbound next year?
Oh,
Rick, you doing the 200 miles? Though,
I'll do the 200 miles.
Wow.
I am in for dumb challenges. Any dumb challenge, you can almost assuredly get me to at least start.
I was like, well, let me see what it is, because if I need to figure out whether or not I can.
Emporia, I think.
Emporia. Middle of nowhere. Yeah.
What
there's also Belgian waffle ride in.
It was like 3 weeks ago. It's in June.
June 3rd.
Jackie, You're just a doctor. Take it off. I don't know what doctors can and can't do.
If it's a weekend, I could probably do it.
It's a week. It's a weekend.
It's a Saturday.
But we have to get people to crew for us too, which I think you both have someone. My wife.
Let's see about it. My plan is to do some racing at the end of this year, maybe get my butt kicked a couple times and work out the kinks and then try to win everything next year. So
let's do this. I will finish so long after you two. You will not wait for me at the finish.
Maybe at least I can do the 200 and you do the 100 and we'll race straight up.
No, I'm doing it. Come on now. I'm not going to be going like 7. You're going to go like
14.
No, you're gonna average like the winners average like 20.
Yeah, so you could.
I'm not
well,
gonna be
anyway,
going 10. I don't
you
know.
might.
I
It's
make fun
hard,
of how
Rick. It's
slow
really
I
hard.
make fun of how slow I am. I'm not 10 miles an hour
Okay, well, my threshold is like 6-ish, and yours is 3-ish.
right now. It'll be better. That's a good
All
point
right.
though. That's a valid point, Jordan.
Yeah.
I
Speed isn't linear with airspeed, and
Like,
I get that more. But
what's that, Jackie?
like, but again, watts per kilo is not predictive unless you're on a gradient of like 15-20%.
Thank you, Jackie. And I weigh 140 pounds or something more than you, Jordan. So
more than me.
I weigh 174 pounds, I think, right now, and you weigh 40 something. I don't know how much you weigh. Not much.
134. So maybe.
I saw
40.
you laugh when she mentioned a BMI of 18.5, which is like
Well,
double. That's like double what you have.
Because I always flirt with that underweight thing, and when I go to the doctors, it's like, oh, it's not quite the healthiest. It's like, whatever. It hasn't killed me yet. It's been 2 decades of being underweight, so yeah.
Say actually, as of April, where I came off of my cut for Worlds, and now I'm like lifting heavy again. I'm actually flirting with the opposite end of that spectrum. I'm now flirting with that could technically be overweight, and I'm like, or not. I still have
I always think that's badass though when people actually have the phenotype to gain enough muscle to be overweight with the muscle. Like I would be a complete lard ass if I had a 25. I would just have a belly out to here and these skinny little arms, and you'd be like, "Yep, that guy's a total loser."
Like the problem is, and this is actually really cool physiology, is once you build muscle, the muscle fibers will atrophy, but only in size. They'll actually keep the nuclei. So muscle are syncytial cells. They've got multiple nuclei, and they're essentially multiple cells altogether. And when you go through the initial process of building muscle, you have to put in more nuclei because that's where the protein synthesis occurs. So building muscle that first time is harder. But then when you lose muscle through deconditioning, you actually don't lose the nuclei. You just lose the size of the fibers. So when you go back and you lift and you try to regain all of that, it comes back much faster. So when I go back to lifting,
thank you for explaining that for Rick. I totally knew all of that already.
So it's like when I go back to lifting, I've got these swimmer shoulders. They're just like, yeah, let's do pull-ups. And it's like this muscle will come back. But I also have now cyclist legs. And if I'm completely honest, this is where like my new 15 pounds just likes to sit. It's all in the thighs. And so it's like, I really do suffer from being at this point a multi-sport athlete, because when I transition away from doing the 3-hour, super endurance rides and actually focus on lifting, my muscles are just like, ah.
Yeah, but you're like super healthy looking, unlike Jordan and I. So
Yeah.
I just have a different problem than Jordan has. I have the second problem he just defined a little bit there.
I think, Rick, at 174, I would look absolutely terrible.
Dude,
because I gain all the weight in my face and my belly. It's just the worst.
So even when I was running very competitively after college, like I was running 70 miles a week, whatever, I was still by BMI right on the verge of overweight. And so like I went to like the doctor one day, and that morning I'd run 10 miles at 6 minutes. And it was like it wasn't a hard run. It was just like a tempo. And they were like, "Oh, you're a little bit overweight." And I was like, this morning I ran 10 miles in 60 minutes without, and they were like, I was like, "Listen, my legs are humongous. My legs are humongous. That's the thing. They always have been. Even for a runner, my legs were too big. So I'm guessing I'm probably more built like Jackie, but minus the lifting. So
right.
But that's where you want it. You want all the muscle in the legs.
Yeah. Which also, I want to make sure this is on the record again. I owe you M&Ms, Jackie, for beating me in the 1,000-watt thing. I was thinking about that when I was riding outside. I don't know why I was doing that, but I was riding outside the other day. And yeah, I remembered like I need to send Jackie a No Breakaways t-shirt. Both of you are owed those. They're literally sitting in my closet. And I need to send you M&Ms with it, Jackie. So
Excellent. I will happily take delivery, and I will wear the shirt on air. The M&Ms probably won't last that long.
yeah, they shouldn't. They shouldn't. Yeah, and Jordan, I was really hoping we would actually see each other IRL at some point, but that appears not to be the
I
case.
keep ducking you. Yeah, I was supposed to go to Tulsa, but after all that nonsense, I opted out of that. Like, I was like, I'm not going to hit the ground again. And same kind of goes for like Toad and Intelli.
No, you needed to come to those two. Those are the two I needed you at, man.
I know. But no, though. It's also like with the fuel prices flying me for crits to the US and with Canada charging so many taxes on everything. It's like I can't even argue with the team about flying me for those being too expensive. So
yeah.
But anyway, yeah. You're going to talk about Zwift today, or like just?
By the way, Jackie, you're having a weird issue where you like the first second of everything you say, we don't hear. So like you just said something and we did not hear you. We just
go and then start talking.
That'll come through well.
Yeah.
My new internet and the fact that we have not optimized connectivity everywhere yet.
Yeah, so we probably should. We're 41 minutes in. We should probably talk about indoor racing. Although, I mean, who does not want to catch up with you too? Yeah. Okay. We're gonna skip the Wahoo and RGT thing because we can talk about that at any time. I'm gonna skip the next. Okay. Let's talk about indoor cooling. Jackie brought this up as a fun topic to talk about. So, Jackie, do you want me to start or do you want to start?
You go ahead and take the floor. This is your area of expertise.
Okay, so I have very strong opinions about indoor cooling. One of which I know Jackie is going to agree with me on, and Jordan will not. So indoors, I mean, we all know, like, it's very well proven that one of the biggest limitations to you being able to do any sport well, especially endurance sports, is your body getting hotter, right? So indoors, everybody knows you have to have a fan. I have a giant fan that I'm pointing at that no one can see. You don't have a giant fan running on you all the time, as high as you can get it. I've seen like, Jackie has two. Do you have one from the front and one from the back? Is that how you do it?
They're more sort of both at a 45-degree angle. One at my feet, one at my face, because the face is better for perceptive cooling, and the legs are where all the heat's being generated.
But do you have a giraffe? No. Yeah, and she calls herself a professional racer, and like she doesn't have a giraffe.
Yeah. So some people say you should put a dehumidifier in your room to take out the moisture, and it's I have never tried that. Did either of you do that?
Well, actually, when I used to work out in the basement, like way back before Zwift existed at my mom's house, it got really humid in there. Not for a cooling thing, but just like, oh my God, it's disgusting after 3 hours down here. But yeah.
Yeah, so we've had dehumidifiers in line with our AC actually back in Chicago.
Yeah.
But I think, the best climate control I ever had was actually back in my parents' basement when I visited back for the first season of RGT. And South Dakota winters, 1, you open the windows and everything goes to 50. 2, the humidity in the air is 0%. So I could do, and I actually did a 4-hour ride, and I came out and I'm caked in salt, but, just no moisture. And that was fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, removing moisture from the air, the less moisture is in the air, the more moisture from your body can go into the air. Basic thermodynamics, actually something I know a little bit about. But yeah, like that's super important. If you can get an AC unit in there, but here's the thing that Jordan's going to be annoyed about.
Socks and bibs.
That's correct. And that's right. So like, I I know everybody wears long socks on the road, which I also don't understand, but you shouldn't wear long socks inside. And I have no. Everybody says like shorts pinch you around the waist and all that, but inside, like you should wear no shirt, as little as you can on top, no bibs, just shorts. Like
All
I was listening to the Nowhere Fast, and Kevin said he bought these like they're like mountain bike shorts that are designed to be worn under other shorts, and so he just wears those. They have tons of holes in them. That's all he was wearing, but you can like see through them. And he answered the door in them, and someone was like his
Wasn't
mother
it live stream too? Like the do his live stream? Are they? They're not kid friendly on YouTube.
Yeah, it must be on OnlyFans or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
It is. I totally agree with you about the shorts. Like every time I put a bib on, I can feel my core temperature rise. But when we're racing, for worlds, for everything else, you have to wear that full uniform. And so that's really difficult in terms of like, I'm training at my optimum temperature, but do I want to train in that full, like fully zipped up jersey? And that's actually, so I am sponsored by No Pins, and I am very, very grateful for them in that they've actually got a separate indoor, like specific line. So the bib I have to wear for them is perforated. Like I cannot wear this outside, or else I would turn into like dots all over my thighs from sun exposure.
That'd be kind of a cool tan, though.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. I used to swim. It would not be the weirdest tan I ever got.
Yeah.
But the jersey too. Like if I have to put something on there, it has rooms for the ice pack. Right over the big vascular centers, so that even if I'm keeping my heat in, at least I have some sort of active cooling measures.
So here's my prediction: if indoor cycling gets really, really big, they're going to make full top jerseys with like basically like places where water can go through, and you'll have a pump with a little chiller attached to it, and it'll pump cold water through.
They have the vests. They do have vests like that
with a pump that pumps the cold water around.
They use like the World Tour time. If you watch the Tour de France time trial tomorrow, I don't know if it's hot in Copenhagen, but if it is, they'll have those. And it does, yeah, it's pretty cool. I've seen them before. I haven't ever used one, but
that's
funny enough, they're actually recommended as medical devices. So for people who have multiple sclerosis, heat is actually a known trigger for episodes. And so individuals who have this disease but still want to compete, still want to train, they're actually recommended to work out with these actively cooling ice vests because it keeps their core body temperature low.
Well, what say you write Rick a little prescription for that?
I know.
Yeah,
we know a doctor now, Jordan. We know a doctor. Can you write me a prescription for? No, I'm just not. I'll be Lance Armstrong.
I got a list here too, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I think there's like lots of good indoor cooling things, but like you have to pay attention to it, like that if you want peak performance.
Yeah, well, especially in Tucson, you do. Because I have a training inside. It's a totally different thing. You think about windows being a positive. In Tucson, you got to have blinds because the sun will come in there and it's a greenhouse. If you have direct sunlight on you during your training ride, it is going to crush you. Even if it's not that hot outside, that sun is so intense there. You definitely don't need a dehumidifier. That's definitely not a thing. But yeah, I traditionally haven't had as many problems with the cooling. As soon as I got my Lasco fan, and actually before that, I had a big contractor's like paint drying fan that would blow itself across the room, which is actually quite a funny party trick. It would just like and the plug would whip out and it is across the room. Yeah, as soon as I got those and I just used the one like on the front full blast, I've never actually had that many problems cooling. But actually, it's a funny story. My dad, for Christmas, I sent him my Tax Neo because I got the new Ceres H3 from the team. Because that is Jackie knows it's the superior trainer, the best trainer available, actually. Just write myself a little check for that. But anyway, I had this spare Neo and shipped it to Canada for him for Christmas. And he took to it like crazy. Like, he was kind of off and on the bike. He would do some fat biking and some mountain biking and this and that, but an activity or two a week. I think he has done 6,000 kilometers since January 1st. So yeah, he's earning the jerseys and doing the group rides and stuff. But anyway, like, I told him from day like 10, you got to get a Lasco fan or something similar, because he had these little ones that are marketed as like high speed fans, but not. And he got the Lasco and he's like, oh my God, I can. And he did like 100K the next day. He's like, this is completely different. This feels amazing. I'm like, yeah, I think the fan's the biggest deal of all. But the other thing,
like Lasco fans, oh my God,
Yeah.
so good, so durable.
That's the way to go.
That's what I have. That's what I have too.
Buy a good fan, and like, I think almost all the industrial contractor type brands, they'll last forever because they're built to just be used in crappy environments with dust, and they never wear out. So yeah. And then another thing I made a note of, don't really do this for races because as I said, I don't super overheat, but outside in Tucson, often the trick is a slushy. Like, you go to 7-Eleven, get a Slurpee, and that will keep your core temperature down for like 30 minutes, even when it's like 110 out. Like, you can drink a cold Gatorade or something, not even close to the Slurpee. And so if you can make one at home, like with a blender or something, or just pick one up, keep it in the fridge, and then down that before your, say, world championship race, very effective.
I heard about this on the Trainer Road podcast. They were saying that Never Second or somebody, I think Never Second's like a brand of gels. I'm positive. Yeah. So they made one where you can put it in the freezer and it just turns into a slushy. It never freezes. And so, like, Roglic, or they sponsor somebody like that. I don't know. They're way too expensive for me to buy. I looked them up. I was like, I'll stick to my cheap gels or gummy bears. Right. Thanks. But, it was like that you can have them like slushies. I mean, granted, they have people like with coolers coming up and handing them to them with it.
Yeah.
I'd be really surprised if your standard gels would freeze in a freezer. Like, the sugar content alone.
We should try it.
Let's do an experiment.
Yeah.
This is content for the Instagram, Rick. You can have a little story.
I am so bad at social media. So horrible.
Oh yeah, too, buddy.
Oh yeah, you and me. Jackie, I go on there and she's like,
ahead of this session with pictures of our new trainer setup, which, by the way, right now we are sharing the one Lasco fan we packed in the car.
You just have to do offsetting.
Acrimonious battle. I've seen less acrimonious battles about like child custody. John and I cannot work out at the same time. It's like that fan is life or death when we're working out right now.
Maybe you should go to the store and get another one.
Aren't you tomorrow with our remaining fans?
Both doctors?
Hey, I'm trying to be a marriage counselor here. I'm like, what could ever be a solution to this problem?
I know.
Remaining 3 fans is the solution.
That's fair. Okay.
Anyway, I was going to try the social media, and then life and everything else happened, and I was like,
it's terrible for you. Social media is so bad for you. All those studies you see now, forget it. That's all I ever needed as an excuse. That was like,
yeah, you're doing it because it's good for your health, not because you're an old man and don't understand it. Yeah.
I'm just terrifically lazy.
Yeah, I need to get Jackie to manage the no breakaways thing. There's no.
She's not busy.
I know she's so busy, but she could just put her stuff on mine. And that's
right.
2 birds.
All right. Like, Rick, wow, your legs look a lot more muscular than they did before.
I know, you're much better at this all of a sudden, Rick. Okay. Do you want to do our next topic, which I feel like maybe you guys don't want to do? Zwift faux pas. Do you want to do it? Our top three Zwift faux pas. Are you
Just general faux pas?
so I can tell you what made me think of this, and if my teammates listen to this, which they probably don't. But so I messaged our team one Friday morning, and I was like, "Hey, guys, let's all get together and race tomorrow morning. It'll be awesome." And they're like, "What are the options?" And I got like 4 or 5 people to come to this race. And then I set my alarm, but it turns out it was only a weekday alarm, so it just didn't go off. So I slept through this race that I organized for the team, and made me think like something fun to talk about would be like what are Zwift. So that was like the one I was going to lead with. It's like a big Zwift faux pas would be to organize a race and not chill for it.
Mm-hmm.
So
I don't know. Something that's been weird that's been happening to me recently, and I don't know if it's a faux pas. I don't know how I feel about it. Is that people are jumping in on my wheel a lot? I don't know if my name is just if it's like sparse names on the pro tag right now, but like I did that mega pretzel yesterday, which is 3 hours or something. And like I think 8 or 9 people jumped in on my wheel, sprinted their asses off for a few minutes, and then disappeared. It's just quite odd. I would never do that. I would never have the instinct to be like, oh, Simon Yates is on here. I'm going to go ride with him. But like, I don't care. It's just a weird thing.
I've done that too. Me and Jackie both.
Yeah. I never really noticed it before. I think it's because it's like low end Zwift season, right? So I'm just like the only celebrity. Yeah, right. But
like it happens in real life too. And when
but that's a faux pas. That's a real faux pas, though. If you just sit on someone's wheel in real life and don't say anything, you're a I don't even know. You're a sociopath. I've got a real problem with you. You might have
no, like John and I were racing or outdoors. We were not racing, but like we get into TT mode, and we've got like really evenly matched FTPs. It's Santa Ana River Trail, so it's super flat. And like if we go TT mode, we're going. So it's like at that point it was almost complimentary. If somebody would try and sit on our wheels for 2 minutes, and like you would see them like this was their motivation. And so that turned from like faux pas of like you're a wheel sock to like, hey, yeah, I hope you got a good workout. Like
I
if
just
you were
find
sitting there for an hour and be like, what you doing, man? Like, come on.
I'm 100% okay with it. Just say anything. Just say, hey there, I'm just going to be on your wheel. Like so many times I look back and there's been some, because in Tucson, there's this great trail, like 180K of trail. And like you pass someone, 20 minutes goes by, you go around the corner and you hear brakes behind you. And it's like, oh my God, this guy's just been sitting here looking at my bony ass for 20 minutes.
And they didn't pull.
Yeah. Oh, no. Well, I wouldn't let them either. That's a safety thing for me is like, I don't want you in front of me. I don't know what the heck you're going to do. Like, well, just on average, it's just like I've seen some shit on that bike path. I've seen some things and I don't want to just take that chance. You're more than welcome to sit there. I'll try to drop you through the corners because why not? You have to earn it. But yeah, that's such a weird thing when you don't say anything. And Emily gets it too, which I think is weird if you're a woman alone riding and like a big tubby dude will sit on your wheel for like the whole ride and just sit there. I think that's quite bizarre. A little offside.
Oh, yeah. No. And I mean, I don't go solo riding a lot, but like there's definitely the ego phenomenon of getting chicked. Like I will see like like John and I'll pass on the trail, and most of the time I'm in front just because like, I like you enjoy being in front and I enjoy trying to drop people on turns. And there's a definite difference in how much people speed up, whether they see him first or they see me first.
Oh yeah.
Like if they see him, like they won't speed up and then they see me right behind and all of a sudden it's like engines full go. Like we can't let this chick in like pink kit and a ponytail beat us. No.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. Like Emily will be like, I pass them so much faster Like they're just dawdling around, and all of a sudden it's a race, and they'll say something weird, and she'll try to accelerate, and they're like it's just such. It's like reevaluate your life, man. This is just not good. Like, what do you tell your wife when you get home? Like, I just destroyed this little woman on the bike path. She couldn't get rid of me. Like, what is this about? I don't get it. That's a faux pas. It's not a Zwift faux pas, but maybe it happens on Zwift though. Women riding. Maybe we could study it. Whether there's more dudes that jump in the draft when they get passed by a fast woman.
I will say I haven't seen it on training rides so much, but again, I'm usually very focused on what I'm doing. I'm not paying attention to who's ever drafting me. But in races, when I enter mixed categories, I have seen the peloton like message each other to specifically try to drop that one woman in the race. So that is a thing. Definitely in the race, like, there's more of a like, no, like we can't let this chick beat us. And that's always interesting, you know.
Yeah.
And like, all right, I took part of the pace line, but now it's
when Rick responds. Rick is like, "Yeah, for sure, guys, let's get her."
I'm just hoping I don't get dropped.
Yeah,
I don't do the dropping in a race ever.
Well,
I mean, occasionally, but no. Like it is interesting that the dynamics that go on. I think that does qualify as a faux pas. Trying to drop a woman in a race specifically because they're a woman is for sure a faux pas. That is bad.
Yeah,
don't do that.
Yeah. I'll admit that in the mixed category races, if I see a C that's still sticking around after 10K, I'm like, oh, you're done.
No, that's fair game. That's fair game.
Yeah.
You know, that's always fair game.
I'm like, I think you're sandbagging, and so therefore it is my mission on this next rise to end that pursuit.
So as a B, when I'm in good shape, I can hang with A's for most races, unless it, goes up a significant hill. So like when I was doing that December thing, I rode like a 50K, and Kevin was in the pack too. But I jumped in because I was like, oh, it's a low key 50K race. I want to ride a little bit longer, and also I wanted to be low key, but it was super not low key because Kevin got in. They were like, that was the one, that Cote guy, Pierre Andre Cote was in. I was like, damn it.
But I'm national champion, by the way.
Yeah, I saw that. And so like there, it was like a greater London flat, but like it was flat enough, but there were some hills. And so like apparently what was happening is the guys were like messaging each other because they knew each other, and they were like, we got to drop these. There was one C who was like a super sandbagger because it was hard for me as a B. But they were like, these stupid Bs, we got to drop them. And so Kevin messaged me at one point. He's like, hey, this next hill, they're going to try to drop y'all. Just be ready. Which was super nice of him.
Did that have any effect? Were you able to do anything about it?
I didn't get dropped. I stayed with him. I stayed with him for 49.2K, which is with any A race I stay with, any flat A race, I can stay with them until the last 0.8K when I super cannot stay with them.
You want to be with the lead group for those first ones. Those are the kilometers you want to be with them, for the result.
But I do think it's funny, like with Jackie, them trying to drop you.
Which is like super not a good idea because she can probably just bump them.
It reminds me of that quote. I'm not going to say the whole thing because I'm not going to say the F word on air, but F around and find out. That's what's happening here with Jackie.
Yes.
Like, don't mess with Jackie. Her FTP is like 350. What's that?
Too much rage, and I will spite sprint you. Like,
yeah,
do it. Yeah.
There's a lot to be said for rage. Like, it is true. If one of those guys like sits on my wheel for 20K and then tries to drop me up the next climb, like there's the eyes just glaze over and it's like Terminator mode for sure. But
that used to happen in like when I was running, like people would try to pick up the pace when you come by. But I feel like running, because there is no draft, like,
oh yeah,
there's nothing you can really do.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
you're
you
not
can
the last long.
Actually in triathlon, I love to do that. And, you're right. There is no draft. But what I would do during the races is you see them coming up the road, you're coming behind, and I would actually slow to their pace when I was about 10 meters behind. Take a breather for 40 seconds, take my gel, and just get ready to sprint past them. It was like, one, I wanted to pass them. I didn't want them to catch up and meet my pace, because that's definitely a thing that'll happen. They'll see you, they'll be like, I got this, runner. Two, it's a nice little mental break. Three, passing somebody at that speed is demoralizing.
Yeah.
Like, it's part of the psychological battle. It's like, if I definitively pass you, you don't think you can stay with me, you're going to break a little bit. And I think a lot of that does carry to cycling when we're trying to make these definitive passes. And it's like, I'm not just trying to drop you or get you out of my draft or do the optimal physics thing. I'm trying to psychologically break you. And I think that is totally fair game in a race. That's not
F around and find out. F around and find out. Do not mess with it. If you see Jay Godby on Zwift, don't mess with her. I think that's what I'm taking away from this entire show today.
There you go. Your faux pas will quickly be regrettable. He'll be punished immediately. Wow. Bring that attitude to the 31 races in 31 days.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Do it. You know what would be great training for that? Honestly, I'm going to say it with a straight face. Hold on. Honestly, you know what would be really good training for? Like unbound gravel.
Yeah. It's completely the same type of fitness.
It's totally the same type of fitness.
You want to be really, really good for 25 to 40 minutes.
You need to have good 1 minute power and unbound. That's what they say the key is for that race.
Yeah. No, I agree. As a coach, I agree.
Yep. Just 1 minute rage power.
Yeah. You know what? You shouldn't even ride off of your trainer for that race either. Like, just do all your training indoors. Don't even test the gravel at all. Yeah.
But I am serious. If both of you will commit to unbound,
I can't. No, I cannot.
You won't do it? Why?
That would sewer my entire season.
You said you're doing gravel. You said you're going to, quote, win everything.
I thought you meant the 31 days.
No, I don't expect you. You two are actual serious good racers. Well, that's not... Kevin's done 30 and 30, and Kevin is damn good.
Yeah, but Kevin is racing more Zwift races after that.
That's right.
Trying to race.
That's right.
Not Zwift races after that.
Yeah. You have to see if the ERL is going to go this year.
It will. Oh, yeah. We already have plans. I mean, I don't have anything to do with it, but there's talk. They're super motivated to step it up another notch. And the whole Wahoo sale that we're not talking about today, I think lit a fire under them for that. So, yeah, I would anticipate. I mean, it's a big deal for our team overall, like promotion-wise.
Can we get a freaking B category? I don't want to race with you freaks of nature.
Oh, I know. We'll put it in. I'll put in the request. There's some things, for sure, that can be done better with it. I think. So,
I know why they did it. It was to try to get, but I'm not.
Well, and pull the curtain back a little bit. Zwift racing, the big events have how many people running the show? ERL is 2 people running the show.
Doing an amazing job.
Yeah. So, but if you ever wonder, why is it on a smaller scale? I think that's been the reason thus far. But hopefully now with some, money always helps. So it'll probably be even better next year. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I'll look forward to
Eric and Frank, right?
I only did one race this year, but I enjoyed it.
And Jackie, I think, won the series and the national championship.
Not a big deal.
NBD.
And you had some wins reinstated, didn't you? Which must have been nice.
I did. So that was nice. And I really want to see the women's field grow again. I know women's cycling in general has a little bit of a population problem in that, we've got at best 1/5 of the participation in these virtual cycling as men, and that's just my goal, is to get more women competing, and hopefully, having the IRL season this year, getting people excited about that, getting the pro teams excited again. We're going to see a lot of those racers come back.
I hope so. I mean, I do think I wouldn't go so far as to say like indoor racing is quote the future, but I think it's a leg of the future, right? Like I saw there was 1,000 women signed up for the gravel nationals. I just saw that on Bella News today, which is super cool. But like you look at some of the teams on Zwift, and specifically like either the women's team inside another team, inside a mixed team, or just women's specific team. They're very strong communities. Like we see that on the team we're on the AF, Jordan. I always forget how to say it. You know how to say it? Do you remember?
Oh, Best Fiends?
Yeah, there we go. I know we need to have Ryan on sometime, but like it's a very strong, like close-knit community. It's a really cool thing. I bet it's like that on Saras. Like it's just really nice to see these close-knit communities form on Zwift. Men and women, frankly, and combined, right? Like
yeah, I think that probably having the lower categories in no offensive way whatsoever would help increase female participation. Because I think actually looking into these gravel races, I think that's a big part of it, is that there's a lot bigger demographic of females that at least want to start at a less competitive level. And like probably they'll get up into the top if that's what they're meant to do. But yeah, like they had a race right up here in Big White, and I think the split was pretty close. You saw a lot of women out there. And certainly like noticing the difference between road events here in British Columbia and that event, there was a lot of women I've never seen before doing gravel, because it's just not that competitive if you don't want it to be. Like it's just a really hard ride. So
I think honestly though, Jordan, I think some of it is like people want to be competitive at their level. So like a B woman doesn't want to race Jackie as much as I don't want to race you. I don't want to race Jackie either, to be clear. I want to be real clear about that. But like, like it's not fun. It's like when I did the ERL or ERL race. I mean, I was racing all the A's. Like I was literally 100% full gas from second one up this like little like hit. And then like, you just get murdered. Like I'm not interested in racing as people with 6.0 watt per kilogram. It's the people who can get in that shape like you and both of you, and like that's awesome, but it's just not where I'm at, and it's not where I'm ever gonna be at. But I want to be competitive where I'm at, right? So like it's not even that you don't want to be competitive, it's like you want to compete in your box. And like there was a time where my box was very competitive at running, right? But it's just like I got an hour a day to train. Like that's my box,
Yeah, and it's hard for Zwift racing, I think, to look up and RGT racing rather, to look up and be like, oh yeah, if I just work hard, I'll get there. It's like, how do you know? Like even as a woman or a man starting out at like 4 watts per kilogram, and you're talented, you're like, oh yeah, if I just keep racing 1 week, I'll make it. It's like that's a big takes a little bit of ego to be able to do that. So not everybody can do that.
I think at least the nationals that started to be held on RGT and having the age group categories, and you're right. I think this goes beyond, just getting women in it. I talked to my dad and my uncle and was like, we need to get a Godby team. Like we can do this, and both of them were like, oh, no, I wouldn't be competitive. And I'm like, there are 3 men in your age group. Like, if you finish, you are almost guaranteed a podium spot. And I would love to see more effort, if we're breaking down those age group categories and being like, yeah, we should absolutely have a 60 to 65 national champion. I think triathlon, with their age groups, has been really successful for that.
Oh, that is their success. And gravel too, actually, is the age group works the same way. So yeah, it's That'll be if RGT can carry that flag, because Zwift largely doesn't do anything about that stuff, then that'll be a win. I think it's just a matter of getting enough competitors to sort of make it workable, I guess, and the chicken and egg thing on that, I guess, to an extent. But yeah, that'll be a strength for sure. But yeah, hopefully it'll be a big deal. Hopefully it'll attract more women. There was 100 women at the Tulsa crits. So maybe if they put a crit series together, RGT, that you would get some good transfer there, and that'd be cool. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I'm already talking up trying to recruit more people to my team. So
Yeah.
So I will be bringing as many people as I can to RGT and Echelon Racing Series this December.
That's awesome.
Wow. I'm going to take credit for that. I'm going to say Eric. I know Jackie.
Jackie was winning on RGT before we knew Jackie.
Oh, I know, but I'm just going to say to Eric, like, I have this friend that I do a show with, and she is bringing as many people as possible because I told her to. And you should be very thankful.
Yeah.
I'm a great value to the team. I'm a team player, and you should know that. Also, Jackie, but me too.
Well, you should also tell Frank that Mallory is the one who inspired me to become a better sprinter.
Wow, there you go.
The USA Crit Series on Zwift, that was my very, very first foray into virtual racing. And she was the one who would like sit on my wheel, and then just out-sprint me to the end.
She's pretty fierce. So
she's a great sprint. So I like spent months watching her and being like, all right, how is she doing this? Because I gotta learn. Like, if I'm gonna win a race, I gotta learn this.
And if you ever think, just for everybody listening that has no idea who this is, Frank Cundiff is half of the ERL, basically. Like he runs it, and this is his fiance, Mallory. And yeah, Jack, if you ever thought, I don't know if I could do a real race, like if I could do these high-end races on the road, Mallory's doing Redlands and Gila and Joe Martin and all the rest and doing pretty good. So
yeah, I mean,
if she can do it.
Rider, she's got a great sprint. So
there we go.
All right, so we are at an hour 15, hour 17 now. We could literally talk forever. And as much as I like to hear my own voice, we will have more. So I'm on vacation the next 2 weeks. So obviously we can't do 2 weeks in a row. But we will be back, mid-July, hopefully. Yeah. Can we? Mm-hmm. I think we got the crew back together. We'll start having some guests on. I know Ryan from Abesk Fiend, we're talking about having him on. I'd love to have Matt Gardner on. Get Kevin back. He's always a fun guy to have on. Because normally what we've had to do is like we haven't had four of us together. Maybe since we had Sarah Gigante on, which was super cool. And I've bragged to many people that I posted a podcast with Olympian on it. So
there you go.
So I love that one.
That was super
awesome.
Cool. That was super cool. I loved her story about like lighting her apartment on fire. So anyways, this was great. Thanks a lot. And thanks for joining us here on No Breakaways. Again, Jackie Godby, if you want to find her, Triantist. I love it every time on Instagram. Jordan Shane, I put the little Instagram logo by Peak Form Coaching, but that is a website, not Instagram. If you want to find him on Instagram, he's on there. He's the most boring human on Instagram. So
but that's something, isn't it? Don't you want to see that?
If you want to see no updates from someone, go ahead and he's like Jordan Shane. His picture looks like he's 8 or 9 years old. Thankfully, he doesn't have that terrible facial hair. So that there we go. All right. Thanks everybody for listening.